Hey guys, welcome to today's episode, and we are so excited. Today, we are talking about the technology that continues to increase all around us. We're going to be talking about frequencies from electromagnetic fields, the NNEMF type. Stay tuned, and we're going to tell you what that is. But we are going to be talking about how you can take your health to the next level with getting rid of some of this, all the things we've got going on, the 5G, the Wi-Fi, the cell phones, the smart devices. Like, it's getting out of control. And now we need to protect ourselves. So I'm excited to introduce you to Dan, and we are going to talk all about that. Dan, how do you say your last name?
Thanks for having me on. It's wonderful to be here. Dan Stachofsky.
Stachowski. Good. I'm glad I didn't even try that. Well, I want you to talk about, I know that you have a story. I know your oldest child suffered with some immune deficiency and some developmental delays. I want you to talk about that and talk about kind of what got you into really being so passionate about learning about EMF and learning about kind of some of the debilitating symptoms and uncomfortable symptoms that some of this is causing.
Yeah, the thanks for again for having me on, being able to talk with you and your whole community. That's an important, super important conversation today. The non-native electromagnetic fields that surround us are increasing dramatically every day, and we'll get into that. And it was about 12, 14 years ago that I started down this path. I was kind of pushed into it because my daughter, like you said, Jane, had primary immune deficiency, and she has gone home before us. She passed away about 3 years ago. So it's my mission, my purpose has changed to be more about sharing these solutions and sharing a path forward with the world today. I want to better a billion people. I want to help everyone overcome this issue, because if we had learned about it earlier, maybe things would have been different. But we did learn about it 10, 12 years ago, and it actually made a significant difference for Jane. She spent a lot of parents who have critically ill children or disabled children may understand and appreciate this, but we would spend uh, 3 to 4 times a year going to the emergency room or the hospital with Jane because her immune system was missing the ability to fight off infections. And so we were tight in with the immunology and rheumatology. She had a rare vasculitis disease as well as some brain injury. So very complex medical condition that from the beginning, my wife and I really believed was environmental. It felt like she just didn't complete her development. And as we started to learn about the body and how God made us, we realized that we were created to heal. And that was both external and internal, that we can continue to heal and develop. For instance, if you cut your hand, you don't have to tell your hand to start healing, it just starts to heal. And I believe that for Jane too, and I believe that's true for all of us. So it really pushed us down this pathway of how do we improve the quality of Jane's environment to help her thrive. When
Mm.
we've realized that these non-native EMFs are actually robbing us of energy, then we realized that we could actually do something to help support that.
And first of all, I'm so sorry about your daughter. That is just heartbreaking. But tell us about the harmful effects of EMFs. And if someone kind of is hearing this,
Mhm.
what are some of the symptoms, first of all, that you're seeing that people are having with these harmful EMFs?
Yeah, some of the most common ones will be disturbance of sleep. So you're not getting the quality of sleep that you used to get. Also, brain fog. You could also have neurological delays or short-term memory loss, or even early onset dementia. Things like that can be caused by these non-native EMFs, as well as heart conditions. One of the things that really wasn't around until we started to electrify the world was heart disease, as well as diabetes. Even cancer has been linked. There's been several studies today or in the last several years that have shown that being around your cell phone, cell towers, and that chronic exposure can lead to increases in risk of cancer. They did a study around a elementary school they put a cell tower 500 yards away from the elementary school, and they followed the children, and there was a higher rate of type 2 diabetes developed in the students, as well as anxiety, stress, delusions, hallucinations. In fact, there was a study just published a few months ago that took 5,000 adolescents between 10 and 17 in the US and 5,000 in India. At how early were they given a cell phone, a smartphone? And they noticed that they had a higher rate of depression, anxiety, and hallucination, as well as aggression. And actually, 65% of the girls in that study showed a higher rate of aggression. But it gets more serious than that, Chantel, because over 50% of those children had suicidal thoughts. So these non-native EMFs are not just making us sick, because it does weaken the immune system, it weakens your metabolism, makes you actually can, again, a part of what causes you to gain weight because your body's dealing with this stress and inflammation, but it's actually leading to suicidal thoughts. And that has to be addressed. It can't be left out there as if it's a non-factor. It truly is.
So let's talk a little bit about what are some of the things that are causing all of them. So, like, I want to give an example. So, I just went out, okay, and I never noticed this before like I did now. Well, actually, there's two things. Number one, I just went out and bought an iPhone 16, been hearing the camera is so good. Oh my gosh, you have to get it, latest, greatest. Let's go out and get it, right?
Right.
I rush out, get it. No joke. I'm telling you, I put the iPhone in my hand and I could literally feel it's hard to describe what I feel when it's in my hand, but it's almost like just not vibration. I can't describe in words what you're feeling. Can you describe what it is?
Yeah, so you get I mean, your body's getting a stress response, and it's getting a tingling or a burning
Tingling,
sensation,
yes.
and so your nervous system is getting overstimulated, and it's overreacting.
Yeah. So I would hold it in my hand for maybe like 30 seconds to a minute or so. And I was like, I just have to put the phone down because it bothered me so much. Finally, I ended up returning the phone. Thank goodness you have 30 days to return it. And I ended up getting a iPhone 15 instead, and it's not near as bad inside the 15. I guess they've upgraded the technology in the 16. But even now, even with the 15, I noticed when you get the new phone, you have to upgrade to the new software. And the newest software is even putting off a lot of electromagnetic stuff. So some people are like, no, I don't really notice it, or it's, not that big of a deal, or whatever it is. Why is it, first of all, let's just discuss. And I put it in my husband's hand, right? And I said, feel this. He's like, whoa. I mean, he could tell the difference. But how come some people, they put it in their hand and they're like, no, I don't really tell a big difference, while other people are like, whoa, I can't even hold this.
A lot of research shows that it's like an allergy, like an allergic reaction that you're having. So there is a stress response. And just like everybody responds to different foods differently, some people are allergic to nuts, some people are allergic to gluten. Some people are going to have a stronger allergic reaction to these electromagnetic fields. And there's terms of being hypersensitive or hyposensitive. And so people will fall on different sides of that spectrum. But you can go and do dark field microscopy or blood analysis and see that even if you don't feel it, your blood still is responding to it.
So let's talk about some things we can do to protect ourselves from having all those EMFs coming out of the phones. And I also want to just talk about general tips. Before we do that, I just want to hear just general tips. Like, I know one tip that I'll give everyone obviously is don't sleep in the same room with your phone. If possible, move that phone in the kitchen or something like that. But those are the kind of tips I'm looking for. What would you suggest?
That's right. Yeah, definitely distance is your best friend when it comes to this. And you have to think it's not just your cell phone, it's the Wi-Fi router, it's also any Bluetooth devices. So it's also the smart meter on your house. So distance is going to be your best friend for these helpful tips. Definitely, yeah, move your phone out of the room. Don't hold the phone up to your head. There are studies that show brain cancer is forming right here on a lot of people on the right or left side. I have a colleague who has a cancer. He had it right here on his cheek, and he was a consultant, and he'd always hold the phone up to his head like that. Also, don't carry the phone on you if you can. Keep it on in a purse. Have a Faraday bag that protects it, blocks the EMF from coming off the phone. Those are easily available on online
And when you
stores and
say
things.
that, spell it. Spell what you're
Faraday, yeah,
saying.
Faraday. I don't know that I probably don't have one right handy, but they have a lining. So there is clothing and is lining that you can have that can block those frequencies, and then that helps you be protected. So don't carry it on your person, and
What
really
about,
try to avoid the last hour before you go to bed, the last 1 to 2 hours, and don't look at the blue screen because it's not just the frequencies coming off the antennas. It's also that blue screen that's affecting your eyes and affecting your sleep as well.
So the Apple founder Steve Jobs died from cancer, and he was often associated with putting his laptop on his lap. Like anytime you saw him, he had his laptop on his lap, and he passed away from complications related to pancreatic cancer. So a
Mhm.
lot of people are saying, he basically had that Apple computer on his lap all the time and his phone always around his midsection. And, does that correlate with the pancreatic cancer?
And some people it will, because the light that we get from the sun is natural. And just to talk about light, you get a ton of information from that natural sunlight or any natural form of light, UV, infrared, or visible. But that gets disrupted if there's artificial forms of light in and around you, which those laptops are, our cell phones are, any blue screen. LED lights are in that category as well. So when we talk about non-native EMF, we have to talk about all these different factors. And Dr. Klinghardt is a guru in this space, and he says there's clinical evidence that children who were raised with moms who had laptops on the belly during pregnancy have a much higher rate of autism. And so there is a connection between that laptop on the light and how our body functions and how it interacts with the environment we're in based on the environment and how much non-native EMF as well as blue light we're taking in. So there are correlations. Some of us, the body is going to go have a response where we get mute or we just don't feel it anymore. And that's a protective mechanism. It's not healthy. We don't want to be there. Others are going to have a response where we're extremely sensitive, where these lights, this computer screen that I'm looking at right now, they can't even be around that. And that's like 3 to 5% of Americans. They literally can't be around any artificial forms of light. And so their lives are really difficult and they are miserable. And the increasing rate of cell towers being up, all this infrastructure, the satellite communication is really making their health and their life miserable. So they have to find ways to solve that, whether it's moving out, whether it's other practical things you can do. You could also turn off the power to your room at night, go to the electrical panel, hit the breaker, turn that power off. You can also turn your Wi-Fi off at night. A lot of routers, believe it or not, you can go into the administrative side of the router and you can set a timer to say have it turn off at 9 o'clock at night, have it turn back on at 7 in the morning. So you don't even have to think about it. Now, if that's too much work, you can also get one of those automatic timers that could plug into the wall, and you can get from the hardware store, and you use it for your lamps. You can get that, and you can just set a timer so that it turns off and turns on. And now that's an easy way to reduce the exposure in your home as well.
Mm.
I hate blow drying my hair. That's why I use a non-toxic family dry shampoo.
I haven't washed my hair in over a week. It's not greasy, all from the dry shampoo. Dry shampoo, almost all of them out there are so toxic. It's been determined that dry shampoo contains benzene in it, and it's actually a known carcinogen linked to increased risk of cancer. So I decided to create my own. This stuff is the best. A lot of people think my hair has extensions in it because they think, oh, it's very long and very thick. No, this is my natural hair and it takes a really long time to wash. And you don't want to wash your hair every single day. It's not even good for your hair. I love dry shampoo, and the only one out there is one that I made myself, and it just has a couple of ingredients. It's all natural. You're going to love it. Go to nontoxicfamily.com, use coupon code Chantel Ray, and get a huge discount. What about grounding yourself by walking barefoot outdoors? So my husband and I, every single day, every morning, every night, almost every day, we go to the beach. We live close enough that we can go walk to the beach every day and get our grounding in. How important is that? Or just even walking barefoot outdoors on the grass?
It's a major component of living healthy and getting all this electricity that's builds up in our body throughout the day grounded out and discharged. And that's really what you're doing. And so definitely getting barefoot, going and believe it or not, even hugging a tree. I know it sounds funny, but if you put your hands on a tree, the roots are so deep into the ground, that's a great way to discharge. So for me, I'm up in Washington State. It's snowing today. It's going to be hard for me to go barefoot outside, but I can go put my hands on a tree, and that's another way you can ground. But grounding is really important. There's also grounding mats you can buy for your house or for your around your office to help you discharge that. So grounding and earthing is another term that if you wanted to search for that. Earthing or grounding are great terms to search for and give you good tips.
Let's talk about, I've heard of this PEMF mat. We have one ourselves as well. How does that help when it comes, the infrared PEMF mat? Does that help at all with the EMFs?
It can. I come from a perspective that you have to be really careful with red light therapy or PEMF devices. They are frequency specific and they are beneficial. There are frequencies that our body responds to, whether it's 810 nanometer, 440 nanometer. There are frequencies that are beneficial. But those devices are stimulants. They are stimulating a response in your body. And there are times where that's needed. It's a lot of times with brain injury recovery, doing red light therapy can be helpful. You get on that PEMF device. There are programs and protocols that are designed, but you want to be careful that you don't do too much of that. We were designed in nature. When you think about grounding versus a PMF device, PMF is stimulating, it's kind of pushing a frequency onto you, whereas grounding or being in the sun, it's natural, it's passive, and it's balancing. And so ultimately, what you want to find is how do you help your body get into a balanced state? And these non-native EMFs, the blue light from the screens, they create an imbalance. An imbalance is the start to disharmony, which leads to dis-ease. And so if we can keep our body in balance naturally and through subtle energy devices or passively through the sunlight or grounding, that's always preferred. You can't beat natural sunlight, but PEMF devices do have a place.
So one of the things I've heard you say, which I've heard everyone I think has heard EMF, which is electromagnetic fields, but you talk about frequencies from non-native electromagnetic fields. You call it NNEMF. And so I want you to explain what is the difference between NNEMF, non-native electromagnetic fields, versus just EMF.
Sure. So there's non-native and then there's natural. There's man-made versus God-made. And so God-made coming, let's just take the sunlight, for example, is very complex. It's a broad wavelength, broad mix of wavelengths and frequencies from the sun. You're getting, and those photons or that light is what they would call non-polarized. And when that hits your cells, it hits and there's no voltage buildup on the cell wall. Non-native EMF or man-made coming from the cell phones, the electrical wires in your house, the smart meter, power lines, they're polarized. And so when they hit your cell, a voltage builds up on the cell and it creates that electrical voltage that creates an imbalance and causes the cells to misbehave. And that's what leads to stress. Your body is responding to the environment you're in every millisecond, every nanosecond. Your body's adapting. And so, whether it's artificial or natural, your body has to do something with that. And that's what leads to that stress.
Mm.
Interesting stat is that every cell has 100,000 chemical reactions a second. And your typical body, typical person has 50 to 70 trillion cells in their body. So there are a lot of chemical reactions happening every second. And in order for a chemical reaction to occur, it needs energy. And they get that energy from photons, from natural photons, whether it's the sun or the photons your body produces called biophotons, which are a weak emission infrared. So we're getting our energy from the sunlight from natural means in order to help produce the chemical reactions our bodies needs for our biology. If the quality of that energy is weak, then it leads to weaker cell development, tissue development, organ development. It can lead to disease and inflammation. But if the quality of that light is more natural and stronger, then your biophysiology is better. And so that's kind of what leads to the difference between polarized versus non-polarized or non-native EMF versus natural EMF is the effect it has on those chemical reactions and on your cell function and really critically your mitochondria as well.
All right. Well, let's talk about some solutions that you have that can really change the trajectory of things.
That's right. So because of the journey I was on with my daughter, we looked around the world for solutions. We started with frequency therapy, kind of like the PEMF devices you were talking about. We were looking for a lot of things to help boost her system. And what we landed on was a passive device called and we started a company to share it. It's a nonprofit company called Essential Energy. And these metal plates have been altered through a process called plasmonics. It's a area of physics. So we apply physics to these plates and they create more structured light. And now we're partnering with sunlight to increase the quality and the quantity of light within the body. And when we do that, we see your body becoming harmonized across 126 different points. Just a lot of different benefits that come from increasing the quality and the quantity of natural light in the body.
So I want to go over these necklaces. So I bought one and I want you to try to simplify it. There's two things I bought. I bought one of these little
Yep.
silver squares. And then if you're listening to this, you can go ahead and put this square, I guess, next to your bed. This is where I have mine. So I'll let you talk about the two items. One is the
Sure.
necklace, and what is this little square that I bought?
Yeah. So we call this the essential pendant, and then the square is called the light tower. And why is it called the light tower? Because there is a beam of light coming off the face of this. We've integrated uh, a vortex that has a energy field that redirects the light directly wherever you point it, right? So if I'm working on my body, say right now I actually strained my rotator cuff. So what I'll do for 10 minutes in the morning or so is I'll take and the structured light that's coming off of these plates is super strong and balancing. It brings oxygen into that area. It balances oxygen and it harmonizes the body, getting that blood flow. Okay, and so what people will notice is an improvement in recovery and repair. And because right away we are improving the quality of that. We're mitigating the effects of EMF. We're harmonizing EMF, geopathic stress. We're actually helping a lot of your systems operate better because light interacts with that and improves the quality of the timing within the body and the balance of the body. So that's what these plates are doing. The necklace is just super easy to wear I often forget that I wear them, you know, and so but it's harmonizing the body almost immediately. Within 10 minutes, we've had researchers show doing their own independent study within 10 minutes, the the EMF is mitigated. And then once it's mitigated, now the body has the ability to continue to repair and restore itself. And that's why people have improved sleep, more energy throughout the day. Their pain is, depending on what the issue is, they notice pain is being relieved. So many people say, I got my life back. Brain fog is reduced and gone away with. Even tinnitus can be improved. The list goes on and on as far as what people say, and our website has a lot of testimonials. We love hearing from our customers, their stories as well. Yeah.
Explain what this necklace is doing. If all I did
Okay.
was wear this necklace,
Yep.
how is it protecting me in the simplest way you can explain it from EMFs?
Yeah. So remember I said the non-native EMFs are polarized. They put a voltage on the cells, and that leads to stress and inflammation. The way to combat that is with natural light. So we need to harmonize the body and remove that voltage. And that's what these plates are doing. These plates, because of the way we've engineered it, is putting more quality and quantity of structured light into the cells, into the blood, and that mitigates that voltage buildup from non-native EMF, and that's why we can see the whole body harmonize and we see stress levels come down.
Hey guys, if you want to try one of these necklaces, if you want to try any of these EMF tools, go to essentialenergy.us and use coupon code Chantel Ray for a huge discount. That's essentialenergy.us. What's the difference between this bigger square
Mhm.
and then the little square?
It's really the quantity of light that's coming off of the larger plates. It gives a stronger, faster response. Think of it as you could think of it as light therapy. Another way is, you know, if you think of flashlights, you take a small little pen light, it has a certain brightness. If you take a floodlight, it's even brighter. And so that's what these are. There's a brightness level to them. This is mild and balancing. And so it's more gentle and balancing that way. It's kind of like a pen light where it's harmonizing the body within 10 minutes, but it's more gentle. Whereas this is the quality and the quantity of light coming off of these plates is significantly more.
What do you do with this? So, like,
Yeah.
here I have this piece because, like, as simple as possible. So, I'm wearing the necklace. That's pretty easy. Everyone knows
Yep.
you can wear it. But what do I do with this piece?
Well, yeah, and to answer that question, one reason why you would get the larger plates is if you are more sensitive to EMF, or you have mold allergy or sensitivity or chemical sensitivity, or you are having severe brain fog, or your symptoms are more severe, you're going to want a stronger plate to help with that. And so, what I do with this is like I'm going to go on a flight later on. So, I have this plate comes with this waist belt, and I'll put it on inside the waist belt and I'll put it around my lower back. The sacrum is where a lot of EMF energy builds up in the sacrum. So, I'll put this around my lower back and I'll just wear it hands free. And the whole time that I'm wearing it, I'm getting this light therapy, this infusion of quality light into the body. The body responds to that with improved timing, reduced inflammation, reduced stress, and then long term, that leads to that repair and recovery. I'll also take, and like for my rotator cuff, I'll do a therapy on this five or 10 minutes at a time throughout the day as I feel like I need to. If it starts to get painful, I'll just do this. I don't really need Tylenol anymore. Now, some people might need pain medicine. It's okay. Do what works best for you. But this is helping bring stability to the nervous system because of the quality of the light that's coming off of these plates.
Got it. So,
Um,
you can actually take this, put it in like any kind of fanny pack, is basically
yep.
what it is. And then you're putting it on your back or more towards your stomach.
So the beauty of it is you can put it wherever you feel like you need it. So I'll put it on my lower back just because I know I have a little weaker sacrum. Um, but if you have digestion issues, you can also put it over your stomach. If I have a gentleman I'm working with right now who just had knee surgery, so he's going to take and wrap it around his knee. One person, he was working with a table saw, and his finger went right through the table saw, and it split the finger right down the middle, almost to the second knuckle. Well, what he did is he went got that repaired surgically, and then he took an ace bandage and basically wore it like a splint for 3 months. He'd take it off when he would take a bath or a shower or clean himself, but 90% of the time it was right on his hand like a splint. And after 3 months, he had full recovery and use of his finger. He had feeling, he had movement. And for people who've had that injury, that's really impressive. Because usually, and the doctors told him he was going to lose function in his hand. As a guitar player, he didn't want that to happen. So he committed himself to 3 months of wearing it like a splint. Another gentleman, he's a pig farmer in Iowa, and he had tendon surgery years ago, and he couldn't straighten his fingers. His fingers were like this, bent. As soon as he started wearing the pendant, his fingers straightened up. So again, there was a tension there. There was a stress or an inflammatory response going on in the fingers due to the poor quality of light that he was surrounded with himself because he always holding his cell phone in his hand, or because of the Wi-Fi that was in his home and on his farm. And he was able to just simply wearing the pendant that released that tension in his fingers, and he was able to hold his fingers straight. So there's a
Mm.
lot of different, you can think of these as tools for wherever your body is tense, or however wherever you're wanting to have that bioharmonization occur to help heal, or promote that healing. That's what these plates are going to be good for. Um,
Mm.
there's two things that the plates are doing. One, they're mitigating the non-native EMFs, the stress that's caused by that, and then they're supporting long-term repair and recovery because of that harmonized field of energy that's it's infusing into the body.
And I will give everyone a tip. I love this necklace. I definitely feel like I can tell a difference with it. But I will say I don't like personally the chain that it comes with. It's a really nice chain, but I'm just not a chain person. So I just went and got like a little bit of a rubbery kind of chain. It's like a leather rubber
Yep.
chain. Black that I put with it and then I replace it. And it's just like way more comfortable for me. I'm just a comfort person. And then, so if you're watching this online, you can kind of see the one I have, but I like it way better than, and it comes with a really nice chain. Don't get me wrong. I just personally, for comfort, like this one better. So we will type it in the chat. You can go to essentialenergy.us, use coupon code Chantel Ray for a huge discount. And we are so grateful that you shared your wealth with us, Dan. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a blessing to be here and to share this. We've been sharing it now around the world for a decade, and it's been changing lives. And I hope it helps, at least if it helps one person in an audience, it was worth it. And it's great to be here, and I appreciate it. So give it a shot,
Great.
give it a try.
Awesome. Well, you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up in just a few. Bye bye for now.
She's a business mogul, #1, and wellness expert.
How can I help?
And now Chantel Ray and her amazing guests are here to guide you on your wellness journey.
Time to level up.
Welcome to the Waste Away podcast.